My name is David Horsley. I'm here to talk to you about distribution systems today. I really enjoy the game of softball. You know, when you have your batting lineup, your first batter, they're made to they're there to get on base. You know, do their job, get on base, whatever they got to do, get on base. Second batter is. Second and third batters they're more or less there to move the first batter around, and your fourth batter is usually a really good batter. You know, they bring it all together, and hopefully hit it over the fence, make the big score. I've been kind of sitting back there thinking that the distribution is kind of that way. We're kind of the ones that bring it all together, and initially we talked, there was a couple questions about, how do we know when the water is available for individuals to take water. Talked about different shares and groups and decrees, and Chase talked about different approval conditions, and distribution brings all those together. The more I sat back there and was looking at the agenda, I realized that I'm actually at the bottom of the lineup, and usually at the bottom of the lineup is your not so good hitters. So I apologize that I'm keeping you away from getting home, but I'll do my best here. That's true. Yeah, all right. Because that's a good point. The last batters get out the quickest. Distribution systems. A distribution system is a geographic area in which a water user receives water from a natural source from which they're legally entitled to. So they need to have a water right. Distribution systems fall under the direction of a state-appointed river commissioner in a specific geographic area, and the use of that water is often tracked in acre feet, or the flows are tracked in cubic feet per second. Here's a map on our map server showing the different areas that we have distribution systems in. There are a total of 6 of us in the distribution section, including myself. So the different colors obviously correlate to the different systems that we're assigned to. We each have different river commissioners in those systems that I like to kind of call they're our eyes and ears of the system, and so we oversee anywhere between 5 or 10 systems each. Historically, the authority of the distribution of water rights was entrusted by incorporated counties and cities within the state of Utah. If conflicts arose, those conflicts would go to a district court in order to seek various judgments or agreements. In 1919, the Utah State Legislature decided a more efficient process would be to have the state engineer manage the distribution of water rights. This led to the creation of modern distribution systems. A distribution system is composed of a minimum of 2 water users. Oftentimes they're created because there's conflict, and we do have a couple of systems in the state that have 2 water users. They consist of a distribution system committee, a water commissioner or commissioners, and obviously the state engineer. I'd like to go through the responsibilities of each one of these parties in this distribution system. A water user's responsibility is to maintain an adequate measuring device and controlling works. The state of Utah, as you know, has a wide variety of climate, so we see a wide variety of different measuring devices. Anywhere from partial flumes, perhaps electronic devices. We see all sorts. One of the water users' responsibility in this distribution system is to elect a distribution system committee. Because as you can imagine, some of these systems, they hold 200 water users. And so we'll have these distribution systems or committees organized in order to be a little bit more productive with some of their responsibilities. And we'll get into those. Additionally, a water user has the responsibility to pay an annual assessment to help cover the distribution systems. Those include the salary for the commissioner, any mileage that the commissioner may acquire as they're running around to the different diversions, or perhaps any supplies that he might need, such as waders or locks and chains in order to help regulate the system. The committee's responsibility is to represent the water users that elect them. A committee representative could be an individual water right holder. It could be municipalities, industrial organizations, irrigation companies, or simply just multiple holders within a geographic area. The committee's responsibility is to also set that commissioner's salary and just have a line budget item for their mileage, so it doesn't just give them a free rein to go run around and run to Vegas and charge it to the distribution systems, and to also try and limit their supplies that they have. So it's just a budget item to help people out. Give them an idea what they might be charged. So once the budgets are set, the committee's responsibilities are to set an annual assessment. This assessment is spread across all the water users. It could be, the assessments may be divided based off a water right. For example, there might be a water user in a system who holds 90% of the water rights that are distributed by the commissioner. As a result, that water user may pay 90% of the assessment or the bills that are accrued by that system. Excuse me. Another way an assessment could be broke out is by yearly usage. Although there might be a water user who owns that 90% of the water rights in the system, they may be only using 25% of the water for that year. Therefore, they will probably end up paying 25% of that annual assessment. Some systems have a rolling 5-year average because different, the way Utah works is we run in some drought cycles, and so oftentimes we'll average those 5 years of water usage, and kind of creates a fair price for the system, and kind of gets rid of those outliers for those either good years or bad years. The committee also selects the new water commissioner if necessary. These are done by a majority. The committee will usually interview a commissioner, and they will obviously vote on who is the best qualified for the position. They're appointed for a 4-year term. So every 4 years, the committee can look at that and see if they want to more or less re-up that, or kind of do a new contract with them for another 4 years. And then the state engineer is the one that actually approves the hire of the water commissioner. So it's a recommendation from the committee, but the state engineer approves that appointment. The commissioner's responsibility is to distribute the water in accordance with the water rights and the prior appropriation doctrine that we've talked about, that first in time, first in right. A commissioner verifies the uses that are used on the system. A commissioner verifies users that have an earlier priority, known as a senior water right holder, and they receive their water before somebody else who has a later priority, or sometimes referred to as a junior priority holder, junior water right holder. The commissioner also, at the end of the irrigation season, typically in January, February, we hold our annual distribution meetings. The commissioner is required to submit a report to the state engineer's office and to the water users, showing the records that he kept, which priorities were used, and how much each water right was delivered. We have what we refer to as a white tag. Now, if you ever see one of these white tags on your facilities, to me, it's just kind of one of those that's get your attention. It says, hey, the state engineer's office, we're watching this diversion. Perhaps we have some questions on it. You probably ought to give us a call. And yeah, we can go from there. It's not recommended that you remove these. We'll come back and remove these if necessary. So we also have these red tags. As you can imagine, a red tag means you're probably in some big trouble. John talked to you a little bit about enforcement actions. This is our next step after we submit a white tag on a diversion. It's probably hard to see, but it talks about those fines that could be issued that John talked to you about. Possibilities of $5,000 for a knowing violation or $1,000 for a unknowing violation. Again, don't remove these if you see them. We'll come back and remove them, and hopefully we'll take care of them. The one thing that I think John maybe, or I didn't notice, a water user is also may be required to replace up to 200% of the water that was taken. So maybe the following year he may not be able to divert, depending on the situation, just so he can help repay back that water that was.
Can you hear me?
Sorry, I'm trying to get you out of here early. So a commissioner also has a responsibility to perform other duties as agreed upon. Thank you. See how many times we can change this. Agreed upon, perform other duties as agreed upon by the water users and by the state engineer. Some of our systems have radios on them, telemetry. Our river commissioners will often help us maintain those, again, because they're locally, and help out change batteries out, or even installing some of those. They also maintain some internet models that we have that also helps with the public or the water users in that system know when they can and can't take water. based off their priorities on the surface source. The state engineer, again, they appoint the commissioner based off their recommendations. We manage the water commissioner funds, so we collect all those assessments that each water user is issued. We send out those bills and also train and direct the commissioner in distributing water in accordance with water rights. So by administrative rule, there's certain obvious requirements that a commissioner has. Sometimes they're just as green can be, and they're just interested in water, and they just want to be a part of it. And so oftentimes we've helped train some individuals that are very young in the water community. Are there any questions you might have? Perfect. Thank you very much.